Hello everyone, my name is Penelope, co-owner of Versant Tiny Homes, and today I'm super happy to be here. I'm just going to do a quick introduction to this new YouTube video. So basically, a few weeks ago, I did an interview with Damien Brown-Graham, who is a teacher at Sacred Heart High School in Ottawa, here in Canada, and they are building one of our tiny home designs on their school grounds, and it is all done by the students, all the way from the framing to the last bit of paint, which is super cool. So we're gonna discuss all about that and all about the benefits of that kind of projects done by students and what's the impact on them and what is the goal, why did we do that, and yeah, all that kind of good stuff. So if you guys are interested, just keep watching. It's been a super good time, and I hope you're gonna enjoy all of these informations as much as I did. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to the interview. Bye.
So my name's Damien Brown-Graham. I'm a teacher of construction technology in the Ottawa Catholic School Board. I teach specifically at Sacred Heart High School, and I teach students a variety of subjects, but the thing that I'm really passionate about is building construction. It's one of the curriculums that we have here. And I teach it to students mostly in the grade 11 and 12 level. So these are students that are interested in residential building, potentially following a skilled trade pathway, sometimes into the hands-on parts of building construction, but a lot of students too that are very interested in the design or the planning part as well. So our courses sort of cover the full spectrum, from planning all the way through to swinging a hammer and raising walls and such.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That's a very good introduction. I think that sums up really well what you do and who you are and what the kind of leads well to why this project exists. Yeah, so we're here to discuss like an interesting project that you created a few months ago. So if you could just like explain what the project is and maybe where it came from.
Okay, so well, I'd like to say I'm the one who created it, but I think it's been a bit of a collaboration between Versant and myself. But I was a very lucky recipient of a fairly substantial grant that was given to our school through the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship System. And I applied for the grant, and I've applied for it a few times over the years, but this one was, I felt particularly lucky, and we got it. But the grant was to help us to promote skilled trades to groups of students that potentially may be interested in picking up the trades, but also non-traditional groups, groups that we've often had difficulty attracting to having a hands-on experience, in particular young women in trade, in the building industry, not just in trade, but the building industry. And so when we received this award, this grant, the grant was written around the concept of building a small compact house, a full-featured house, but on a small format. I think tiny home is probably the easiest way to describe it. Yeah. And so the project sort of came about with, I had this money, and I certainly have an interest in the project, and I got students on board, and for the last year or so we've been sort of talking about the tiny home or the small format housing concept, but I needed to know more about it, and I suppose that's where our paths crossed in Ancaster. The Tiny Home Show in Ancaster was a great experience to sort of see the full scope of what people were doing and what small format housing really looked like. I'm no architect though, so I think that's really the piece that I was missing in the whole thing, being able to see it through. I'm a builder and a builder from plans, but I need a good plan, and I think that's where our paths crossed, and it was just a casual conversation across your booth desk that sort of laid out where I'm coming from, and potentially I think you and Charlotte saw an opportunity too to help me in my mission, and also in yours. I think it's a synergy that sort of works very well, particularly the fact that you're two young women who are forging a business. And I think that really sort of symbolizes very closely what one of my goals there was to show young women that there is a lot of other young women who are being successful in this space. And so that's where it came about. And we've now started building based on the plans that you folks have given us. So.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. It's really nice to see I'm going to say the kids, but the kids work on it and see the house coming into the world. Cool. Awesome. So I guess that kind of, because my next question was like, what is the essence and the goal of the project and why it's so important? But you've kind of mentioned it a little bit, meaning you're trying to get like people that wouldn't necessarily be attracted or interested in the trade industry, interested in it, or like it's not necessarily accessible to.
I think that the piece is that a lot of people don't know they're interested in something until they've had an opportunity to try it. And a lot of making something real is very important in experiential learning. So I've always built things that are real and not mocked up. But this one's kind of a special one. It's a big build and it's very complicated. So there's lots of opportunities for students to try all sorts of different things. The key piece though is that having an opportunity and having this money available to build sort of a bigger thing has really given us opportunities to sort of attract students to come and sort of pause for a moment, particularly at the end of the day when the students are going to buses or leaving the school. They're walking past our compound, and we have our students continually working in those working out there into the afternoons and sometimes beyond the end of the school day. And I think that's a lot of students are stopping to engage in that way. And so hopefully they're seeing, that there is something out here that students, that they could perhaps experience later on. Ontario has set itself a very lofty goal to build 1.1 million new homes in the next 10 years. That's not beds, that's actual residential units. A big part of that is that we don't have enough of the skilled trades, enough taken of the skilled trades. And when you think of a lot of the people in the skilled trades are traditionally men, and we're missing 50% of the possible people who could be great candidates working in this space. So that's really the target here, is to give opportunities for young people, to young women in particular, to see that there is great opportunities, great careers out there, and then maybe to engage by engaging with the project in some way. They may find that it's a good thing for them to have a go at when they leave.
Definitely. Yeah, no, that's a great goal for sure. Okay, so could you run us through what's your role in this project? So you're the teacher, so what do you do with the kids?
Okay, so on a day-to-day basis, I am a teacher, but I'm also playing the role of a contractor right now too. So all of the planning and organising, permitting, and such I have to do. But on a day-to-day basis, we run a pretty standard class. We talk about the building process, and whatever task needs to be done is taught sort of Socratically. So we've spent a lot of time. We've just had a semester change, so we're moving into a new group. So. We have to start with all the basics, like ability to read the good plans that were prepared for us. So the students need to be able to read and interpret. So we would look at that, and then we would do mock-ups and activity around learning. And then it comes time to apply. So we'll go out to our building site and take the learning that we've done in the classroom and start to apply it for real on the building. And that's really where the learning becomes powerful. It's no longer just theoretical, it's now applied. And for most kids and for most people who learn well in experiential learning, it really is the experience that locks away the knowledge. And that's kind of why apprenticeship is such a powerful learning tool or method of learning for skilled trades, because you're learning it by doing it. And it becomes way more relevant than conceptual. And so my job is to set up and to mentor and, to oversee. And I certainly spend a lot of time, proofreading and checking measurements and the like. But where possible, the students are doing all the work. And thus far, every nail or screw that's been driven, with the exception of the few example drives that I've done, have been done by the students. So that's kind of my role. And then safety, that's the other big thing.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we have students working at height, and I have to guarantee parents that their students come home safe at the end of the day, just like any supervisor on any workspace would have to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, could you run us through like the steps of the build? Because you said earlier that now you have a new groups, because it's like a new semester. So, like, what do you do in each semester?
Okay, so as you can well imagine, with a residential build, it generally starts with creating a foundation upon which to build the structure of a building. So that was our first job, was to set up a building site in our school environment, and I suppose at some point you'll cut to an image of that, and then we laid down a surface which was flat and level, built by building a pair of beams upon which we built a floor, and we're now currently building we're going vertical now, so the walls are starting to go up. Awesome. And the roof will go on top shortly after. So that's kind of the tail end of first semester, because we started the builds kind of late in that semester, and this group is continuing on with the walls and onto roof, and then we're going to go. There'll be exterior finish, so starting with the roof downwards, the roof and then the siding. And then once the building is what we call roof tight, then we can with confidence start the inside work, which will be the electrical, plumbing, all those rough ends, and then installation and interior finish, as you can well imagine on a residential home. There's a lot to it, and I got a feeling that in this school year, we'll get to roof tight, which will be a full exterior envelope complete. And then pick it up again next year, next school year, when students come in, and we'll focus on the interior and mechanical. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So do you think like, is your goal to maybe build another one in the future, or is it like
likely what will actually happen to this one is that we may, if we get it to roof tight, we may move it on and then start brand new with the very beginning of next school year with a brand new build. So and then take it all the way through, because we'll have a full school year. And it's kind of our goal to do this in perpetuity. So I see the grant money not as a one-time opportunity. It's my hope is that we can move the building on to an owner who will purchase it for the cost of the materials that we put into it. And cue my phone number if you're interested. And then we recoup that cost that we can then just buy the materials again next year, and then just start the project from the scratch. And and we'll see if we can go a little further. Each time you do something, you get a little bit more efficient at the way it's done. So it's kind of my goal to just keep building them year in, year out. And I think that that's kind of representative too, firstly, of the Ontario government's goal of, building 1.1 million residential units, is that, we kind of have to look at creative ways of living. And I think this small format housing really exemplifies that there is a different way that people are thinking about housing. They don't feel that you need the 2,000 square foot home anymore. It's quite comfortable to live in some of these smaller structures. And certainly every student that I've talked to or engaged to about the plan and the design, they feel that they could live in this. They don't. They're very. I think the next generation.
That's a good point. Yeah.
The people have a much humbler sense of what home would look like. And I think that that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
not just good, but I think it's really actually necessary. Because there are so many more people. We can't just keep all having a 2,000 square foot McMansion in the suburbs.
No.
It's
Exactly. Exactly. Well, when you're ready to sell that home, just let us know, and we'll happily share it as well. So
yeah, okay, yeah, we'll put it out there. Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Okay, so that was you just answered my next question, which was, where's the tiny home gonna go after you're done building it? So you'll just sell it for very cheap, I guess, for the prices of material only, and then
that's our
and
goal.
then,
It would be nice. We have reached out to some charity groups that we do know that are housing people, and we've had expressions of interest. But I think likely the very first one is will be just sold to a private interest, and then but we can use that as a proof of concept, perhaps to suggest to like Ottawa Community Housing. I know they have kicked the wheels on providing small compact housing options for people without housing, and this could be a format. Students helping helping community. So once again, if there's members of cities, city planning people around that are interested, maybe there is a model here that could be sort of engaged, and
for sure. Yeah.
Certainly, it would give me great joy to know that the house become something more than a cottage or cottage property or something like that.
Yeah.
That I'm happy to see used. Period. But it would be nice to know that it went to a different place.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So now, what are your hopes for the future of the trade industry?
My hopes are that we can attract enough people to keep the industries viable. I think we're approaching a critical point where there is the skill shortage getting to a level of having a critical impact on the viability of trade remaining highly skilled, and the need to start. If we can't attract people to the trade in the numbers required, that there may well become a de-skilling of trades. And I think it's really the apprenticeship system requires as many people going into it as are leaving skilled trades, and ideally more, because we know through attrition, people moving on to different trades, and not everybody who starts a trade will end in retire from the trade as well. I think the Ontario government is making a great investments, and with even simple things like acknowledging that the completion of an apprenticeship is the equivalent of completing an undergraduate degree, and giving it that sort of significance. I think it really sells to students that trade is no longer a second choice; it's a first choice. I certainly have not met a poor tradesperson in recent memory. You'd be easier to find a unicorn in town than to find a mason to fix your chimney at the moment. It's kind of is the reality. It's also a bit of the worry when we set such a lofty goal to build so many residential units in the coming years, but without having that stock of skilled people, that there really is a bit of a recipe for disaster here if we can't promote trade to the other half of our community that are not engaging with this particular career pathway as readily. I think it's kind of my worry there. But there's a lot of opportunity. I think that there's great hope too, because so many, we are running our tech shop at our wood shop at capacity. Like there isn't a spare class in the day, which wasn't that many years ago, where there was plenty of idle time in the workshop. So I know that the students are picking up the call to have the experiences, pretty readily these days.
Well, that was a great answer. Thank you.
Good.
And then I have one last question for you.
Sure.
which is so what would you recommend to other schools that would like to engage in that kind of project? So, like what do you need? Where do you start?
Well, you need some seed funding. I think to undertake a build of this nature, you would either need a sponsor of some sort. We've certainly reached out to all sorts of people in industry. Versant is a great example of that. We created, I would consider it almost a partnership here, where you created us plans which were essential for this build, based on the criteria of being very achievable by students, that all of the materials were retail purchasable. Nothing special ordered here. There's a huge, makes a huge difference to the way that you can approach a project like this. If you can find a partner in the building material supply part of our economy, or your local economy, your local hardware store that's willing to support you with cheap materials and discounts and such, that's a big thing. Seed money, that's another thing, and I was very lucky to find a grant that I could tap into. But once that's all in place, then just a willingness to have the experience with the students, and that's the other big piece. I think that projects like this kind of require somebody who is willing to go through all the extra. It's not just teaching your 9 to 5, like you are running a contracting business, and you've got to see it through. It's a lot of moving pieces that need organizing, but once it's up and running, it's a very powerful experience. That's what I'm seeing in my classroom.
Yeah, definitely. And the more the years will pass by, like you'll get more how can I say, like not drilled, but like it's going to be more like
your learning becomes much more streamlined for sure.
Exactly.
My goal with this was, every year when I run my classes, I have to go find a project, and that can be pretty daunting. Like there's so many logistics. You have to find a client. We've routinely built lots of things like sheds and bunkies and such. But then there's lots of logistics associated with that. Everybody has slightly different needs, so you have to design something, you have to quote the materials, and then once it's built, then it has to be moved. So by creating a project like this, ideally, it just sort of, at the beginning of every school year, we already have the project in place, and we just need to drop our orders off at the hardware store, and we begin again. And that's it takes a bit of pressure off me, actually, believe it or not. It's a lot the first time through, but as we move further and further into the project, like the pressure comes off. I've ordered all my materials now, so I know they just turn up, and I just keep working with the kids. It's great.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that sounds great, and I think it's an amazing thing that you're doing. And I really wish I would have had a class like this when I was in high school, because I would have definitely made my career choice faster. So no, I think
that's definitely our goal, Penelope, is to give students, like, that's what experiential learning is about. It's
exactly.
This pathway is not for everyone, but it's surprising who engages fulsomely to the point of starting to move in a path, move down that pathway towards a career, because they had an experience. It's really quite empowering, and it gives me great joy to watch that. You never know who it's going to be, but
exactly. Well, awesome. Well, that concludes the the interview.
Okay.
So I'm gonna thank you for answering all those questions. Great speaking to you, and
good job.
Good job to you. That was really good. Really good answers.
All right, so that's it for the interview. Thank you guys so much for watching. The plans for this cost-efficient home will actually be, this is my dog right there, will actually be available for purchase. You just need to contact us at our email. I will list it down below, either email or just go to our website. I'm so sorry, my dog is walking behind me. Or you can just go to our website at www.versanteco.ca. Also, little side note, we are a bilingual company, so like if you are, to all our French Canadians or Quebecers out there, if you have any questions about anything that's been said in this video, just let me know. Laissez-moi savoir et ça va me faire plaisir de vous traduire des petits bouts, de répondre à vos questions si jamais faire quelque chose de similaire, c'est quelque chose qui vous intéresse. Yeah, so that being said, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to check us out on our different social media. I'm gonna link them down in the description below. And yeah, leave us comments what you think about this kind of project. Would you have liked to have this opportunity when you were in high school? Would it have changed your mind? It would have changed mine a lot quicker, that's for sure. It would have been a lot quicker for me to make that decision. I think it's such a good program, such a good idea. And I think it should definitely be more and more implemented in different high schools. Yeah, so, well, thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.